Yoseph Haddad is an Israeli hero. He's an Israeli Arab, a Christian, a veteran who's been injured, lost his foot, but then it was reattached. And yet this Christian, Arab, Israeli is a hero not just on the physical battlefront, but also in the narrative war. He goes around the world defending Israel against the lies of occupation, apartheid, discrimination. He tries to show it from the side of an Israeli Arab who's living in this land. And he goes into the lion's den. Recently, he went into the Oxford Union, where he debated whether Israel is an apartheid state responsible for genocide. It was a yelling match between speakers and attendees. It took place under great security, and he was booed and heckled. And yet this amazingly courageous voice rang out and tried to tell the truth. In the end, the folks at Oxford decided with a vote of 278 votes in favor to 59 votes against that this house, that the Oxford Union believes that Israel is an apartheid state responsible for genocide. Amazing, the hate for Israel, the anti-Semitism, the lies. And while I may not agree with everything that Yoseph Haddad says, I agree with one thing for sure, and that is his courage and his effort to spread truth and light. Let's watch a few minutes of that incredible debate where Yoseph Haddad gives them an opportunity to hear truth.
Just to make one very obvious statement, everybody is saying the House should vote. I hope the House would vote, as if we already don't know what the House is going to vote tonight. But you know why I'm here? I'm here, one, just to show you that we are not afraid to confront all those anti-Israeli lawyers who twist the facts and lie time after time. And what's so crazy is that the majority of you have never been in the land of Israel, have never lived in the land of Israel, and then you have the audacity to come to speak to an Arab who was born in Haifa, the largest mixed city in Israel, raised in Nazareth, one of the largest Arab city in Israel, and then you get the audacity to tell me if I live under apartheid regime. Shame on you. You have no clue what you're talking about. You want to...
So let's just first unpack that very powerful and true statement. So many of the people that talk about Israel simply have never been there. They don't see it for themselves. They're getting whatever the media wants to cook up for them. And here comes Yoseph Haddad, an Israeli Arab, and being like, you can't tell me. You don't know anything. Shame on you. It's very powerful. I've found throughout my travels in this world is till you get to a place, it's very hard to understand it. When you get there, you got to spend time there. You talk with the people. You start seeing it for what it is. And that's his first line there, which I think can't be beat. You don't know what you're talking about in simple terms. You can tell me whatever stories you want. You just don't know because you're not from there. You haven't seen it for yourself. And I'm an Israeli Arab, says Yosef Haddad, and I do know.
Lie, keep lie. But the simple fact is, when you arrive and speak about the apartheid myth, you need to understand that when you talk about apartheid, you either bring facts or you be quiet. Because according to Amnesty International, Israel is making an apartheid regime from the river to the sea, including the 2 million Arab Israelis, which is a blended lie from the river to the sea. Because here, this is me, winning actually an honorary doctorate from the University of Ariel when you talk about academics. This is Salim Zubran, an Arab judge who sent to prison a Jewish prime minister and a Jewish president for committing crimes. Both of them were Jews. An Arab judge sent to prison a Jewish prime minister and a Jewish president to jail. You see this MK? This MK is the most anti-Israeli member of Knesset in Israel. Yet this MK earns $10,000 from the taxpayer. Most of them comes from a Jew, and he has the right to talk about Israel as much as he wants.
So he means $10,000 a month, right? And it's more than that. And the line of reasoning here that we're talking about, that Yoseph Haddad is saying, he's saying, listen, there are equalities in Israel. And again, I love his spirit so much, but I don't always love this line of argumentation for two reasons. One, the truth is that Arabs that live in Israel, there's 2 million that live in Israel proper. But there are 2 million, let's say, that live in Judea and Samaria under the Palestinian Authority, and 2 million that live in Gaza under the former control of Hamas. And so in the landmass of the land of Israel, including Judea and Samaria and Gaza, there are about 6 million Arabs. About 4 million of them live under some kind of oppressive regime of the PA, which is ostensibly a Palestinian self-rule, but it is an oppressive government. And in some measure, it's propped up by the state of Israel. I hate it. And so do Arabs. So do many Arabs living in Judea and Samaria and in Gaza. They detest it. So to talk about Arabs and equality, that is partially true for the 2 million Arabs that live in Israel proper. But for other parts, it's not exactly true. But at the same time, it's not that they're under an Israeli rule. It's just an Israeli-supported rule, which is this awful Palestinian Authority. So that's point number one, which is like where somebody could argue with that. Point number two is having anti-Israel Knesset members in our Knesset is not exactly something to be proud of. The Jewish state should not have pro-jihad, pro-Palestine, anti-Israeli Knesset members in our Knesset. Democracy is a beautiful thing. Liberal values are beautiful things, from the word liberties. But to have haters that are close to neo-Nazis serving in your Knesset and getting paid your tax shekels, I can understand the point being said at Oxford Union, but that's not something I'm proud of. Again, I love Yoseph Haddad, and I'm so proud and impressed and take heart from his spirit and from his confidence and from his stride and from his stance and his poise. But this particular thing, I'm not exactly proud of that. That's not something I would use as an argument that Israel's okay because we have anti-Israel Knesset members in our Knesset. That's not something to be so proud of. We're a persecuted people, and we have should not allow our haters and persecutors that are part of the majority of this region, who bring jihadist ideology into our country, to serve in our Knesset. No, I'm not exactly proud of that, but I do understand where he's coming from, why he's using this rationale, but I wouldn't.
If he lived in apartheid, he would be in jail right now. And how about Samir Haj Yahya? You know what's so amazing? There's a stereotype. They say the Jews control the money. Jews control the money. Well, guess what? Samir Haj Yahya is an Arab Muslim from the city of Taibeh. You know what's so amazing about Samir Haj Yahya? Should I say Dr. Samir Haj Yahya? He was the head of the largest bank in Israel. An Arab Muslim is the head of the largest bank in Israel in a stereotype where you see that the Jews control the money. And how about this guy? Look at this. This is Anan Khalaili. He's an Arab Muslim playing for the Israeli football team. What you're not going to hear from our nice gentlemen and opponents here, you will not hear them talking about this person. I'm not even sure that they know who is this person. Do you have any idea, Mr. President? Anybody? Anybody has idea who is this? Of course not. You know, this is Islam Hajazi. She was killed with more than 90 bullets by Hamas because she wouldn't give them aid. She was responsible for giving aid. And when Hamas, the terrorists, came to take this aid and she refused, they shot her. You know what's so crazy? They did not deny it. Whoever calling me liar, Hamas did not deny it, you useful idiots. Well, you know, but here's the story. You will never ever talk about it. But here is my last point about the apartheid, about the relationship of the Arabs and the Jews. Does anybody of you even know who they are? Yosef and Hamza? Yosef and Hamza are Arab Muslim Israelis who were kidnapped by the terrorist organization Hamas on the 7th of October and still held hostages over 415 days. This is the reality. And if you think, and look at this person here, booing the Arab Muslims. So you understand the reality, huh? There is a person here that booing Arab Muslims being held hostage by the terrorist organization Hamas. This is absolutely unbelievable.
So the argumentation here is that it's sick that Hamas is supposedly a pro-Palestine organization, but is indeed hurting Muslims, and it's not for these people. It terrorizes these people. I think that's a strong point, But I don't think the hostages is something people care about. They don't really care so much about the hostages. Certainly at the Oxford Union, they don't feel bad. They think of Hamas as a liberation movement. I would prefer to show this video, which I've shown here on this show, but I think it needs to be seen again and again and again. We'll have to get back to Yoseph Haddad, but I would show this video.
والله فرحت لما قتلت الصنوار اللي دمر وقتل اطفالنا والله العظيم زغرتت والله العظيم زغرتت الحمد لله ان شاء الله بتمحوهم ان شاء الله.
These are Gazans telling Israelis that they despise Hamas for what they've done to them, that they've despised this so-called liberation movement, which is in fact nothing but a terrorist organization that takes their money and takes their children, allows war to happen on the land that they're living in, creates tunnel systems for their fighters underneath, but lets the civilians suffer on top. I would use this, Yoseph Haddad. I would just show, what the Gazans are saying. They're saying, please liberate us from Hamas. And the same thing with Hezbollah. Look what the Syrian rebel fighters who represent the people of Syria want to do to Hafez al-Assad, Bashar al-Assad. They just burnt the tomb of Hafez al-Assad. They want to destroy and anything to do with the Bashar al-Assad regime. And they want to kill Hezbollah, who killed them by the hundreds of thousands and displaced 13 million people in a civil war and tortured people endlessly in their dungeons. These are horrific regimes. I would say to the folks at the Oxford Union, you support genocide. You support the worst kind of oppression in this world. You are not for freedom at all. Israel is the beacon of freedom, and you support the worst elements in the Arab society, which suppress Arab society. Let's finish up this video. Destroy them. Destroy Hamas.
سيبنا بيوتنا دمروها عروسهم. يا ربي تلقاهم القصر 15 من اليهود. اليهود احسن.
The Jews are better. May God revenge on them on Hamas.
الله يكتبهم. الله ما يحكم معهم. يا رب يقتلوهم اليهود. يا اليهود احسن منهم. اليهود بعطونا اكل، بعطونا الدنيا، وبيعملوا الدنيا، وبعطونا الطريق بأمنه. وايش؟ يفضح ارضهم اليهود.
May God take revenge on Hamas. Okay, so I would use that kind of footage as opposed to just saying that there's Israeli Arabs that are being held hostage by Hamas. Let's get back to Yoseph Haddad.
Gentlemen, whether you like it or not, what is happening in Gaza today, what is happening in the war that you, it means Hamas and their supporters, started, and now they're crying, it's only because of the simple fact that you are losing. You're losing the Lebanese, you're losing the Arab world, you're losing every single thing that you thought that you can win. And you know why you're losing? Because you thought you could destroy Israel, but Israel is here to stay.
Okay, that is super powerful stuff, which is you thought you could destroy Israel and you were unable to, and that Israel's going to stay. And in fact, you are losing on the global scale. You're losing the Arabs, like the ones I showed in Gaza. You're losing the Arabs in Lebanon and in Syria. You're losing the vote in the United States. And I would have also used one more line, which I like to use with folks like that. I would say, hey, Oxford Union, you're just acting like white colonialists. You're coming into a land that you don't understand. You're telling us what to do. And the Jews are indigenous. The Jews are part of the Middle East, always have been. We, as I said many times, we speak a similar language to the Arabs. We have a similar religion. We even have a close genetic code. We're from the region. And stop being such white colonialists and telling us what to do. But with all that, with all the fine points about how to argue, and it's important to know how to argue because it's important to know what the truth is and how to push people back, liars, and how to give people in the audience who are not the liars, give them hope, give them answers. With all that, with all the fine argumentation and the points, the real point there is the courage and the posture.
The bottom line is like this. It doesn't matter if you're a Christian, if you're a Muslim, or you're a Jew. If you're against their ideology, you're a traitor, you are extremist, you're a collaborator, and you should be dead. That's what they think. Well, you know what? They can think that because we don't care. You know why? because we have the truth and we have the facts. And we're going to continue spreading the truth and the facts.
Dean, you're not having a conversation with an Arab Israeli king to tell you exactly what's going on in Israel and cancel this event? You don't have the respect to speak to me? No. This is unbelievable. The dean of the university.
They come here, they're living in Canada, they have the freedom here, they run away from the dictatorship countries, and look what they're doing.
Who next? Did you say you next? Did you just say you next?
He said I'm next.
Is it a death threat?
Literally, I have a problem with an Arab Israeli to come and to speak about his experience in Israel. Why do you think that? Because they're afraid of the truth. Wait, Tahya, Tahya, Israel! Just to piss them off.
Yoseph Haddad deserves great accolade for being a person who stands up for truth and uses his position as an Israeli Arab to get that truth out to the world. I may disagree with some of his points, but I love his spirit, and I think that he's doing an amazing job. And that's what we're doing here at Yishai Fleischer TV and all of our channels. We're trying to make the spirit strong. People come up to me in the airport and they say to me, you give me chizuk, which means you give me strengthening in Hebrew. You strengthen me. And I say, if my channel did that, then we have done what we set out to do, which is to give you just a tad of strength to fight the war, to fight for truth, and to realize that the narrative war is simply another theater of operations in this battle. It's battles in the bigger war. And today, the enemies used a combined effort to destroy Israel, both physical and the narrative war. They brainwash. They create alternative narratives. They want to replace in the mind Israel with a Palestine. They want to tell you that terrorists are good guys. They want to tell you that Netanyahu should have an arrest warrant, just like Bashar al-Assad, a guy who butchered hundreds of thousands, who has tens of thousands of people in underground jails, torturing them so that they lose their memory and are completely broken, and hangs them, and then actually runs them through some kind of press and throws them in vats of acid, all kinds of sick things. And Prime Minister Netanyahu, which is trying to fight for the Jewish state and helping liberate the region and creating an Abraham Accords, those things are equalized in the eyes of the Oxford Union or the folks at The Hague. There's an effort to erase our minds and erase our memories, just like Bashar al-Assad wants to do. Bashar al-Assad wants to do in those dungeons. That's what they want to do to our minds as well, to erase and replace Israel with a lie, with a fiction, and to turn the world upside down. We won't let them. The courage of Yoseph Haddad is infectious, and you, of course, are infected with that courage in a good way. And I want to bless you, and I also want to remind you that there's a great way to support us, and that is through our various efforts that keep us strong. One of them is Fight for Israel. Where is that? Fightforisrael.org. That's how we beautify for the land of Israel. You can be part of that beautification and beautifying. If you can beautify the land of Israel and for truth, it's fightforisrael.org, and also buymeacoffee.com/Yishai to support our broadcasting. God bless you folks wherever you are. Thank you, Hashem, for giving us the ability to see truth and to broadcast it and to give strength to seekers of truth around the world. God bless you folks wherever you are. Lots of love, lots of blessings, and shalom.